Week 16 Day 1. Indigenous native sense. The forest was replete with the kind of wildlife that is indigenous to Africa. Sense indigenous adjective naturally existing in a place or country rather than arriving from another place. Are there any species of frog indigenous to the area? The Maori are the indigenous people of New Zealand. Gregarious sociable sense. At the party, the gregarious hostess scurried small run from group to group, making friends and influencing people. Sense gregarious adjective of people liking to be with other people, or especially of animals living in groups. Am is a gregarious, outgoing sort of person. See also sociable. It's social. Gregariously adverb. Gregariousness noun. You habitat natural environment. Sense the alcoholic was found supine in his favorite habitat. Ryan's bar. Sense habitat noun. C-O-U the natural surroundings in which an animal or plant usually lives. With so many areas of woodland being cut down, a lot of wildlife is losing its natural habitat. Cursory. Hasty, not thorough. Sense Sherlock Holmes took a cursory glance at the cryptic secret message and decoded it instantly. Sense cursory adjective quick and probably not detailed. A cursory glance. Look. A cursory examination. Cursorily adverb. He glanced cursorily at the letter, then gave it to me. Interloper an unauthorized person. Sense electric eyes, watchdogs, and other nuances. Small differences were there to keep out an interloper. Sense interloper noun. See disapproving someone who becomes involved in an activity or a social group without being asked, or enters a place without permission. Security did not prevent an interloper from getting onto the stage at the opening ceremony. In a beeline, taking the straightest, shortest route. That's the way a bee flies back to the hive after he has gathered food. Sense when the couple left, the babysitter made a beeline for the refrigerator. Meet the bees. One of the most interesting inhabitants of our world is the bee, an insect that is indigenous to all parts of the globe except the polar regions. The honeybee is a gregarious insect, whose habitat is a colony that he shares with as many as 80,000. Although the individual bees live for only a few days, their colony can be operative for several years. A cursory study of the activities of these insects reveals divulge an orderliness and a social structure that is truly amazing. For example, bees in a particular hive have a distinct odor. Therefore, when an interloper seeks access, they can identify him quickly and repulse his invasion. Week 16 Day 2. Prolific. Producing abundantly, fertile. Sense the usually prolific novelist was frustrated by her failure to come up with a good plot. Sense prolific adjective producing a great number or amount of something. He was probably the most prolific songwriter of his generation. Rabbits and other rodents are prolific, have a lot of babies. Bulwark. Protection. Sense some feel that the United States should be a bulwark to the inchoate democracies around the world. Sense bulwark noun. Signal something that protects you from dangerous or unpleasant situations. My savings were to be a bulwark against unemployment. Sedentary. Largely inactive, accustomed to sitting. Sense the typist shook off the fetters of her sedentary life and joined a mountain climbing expedition. Sense sedentary adjective involving little exercise or physical activity. A sedentary job occupation. My doctor says I should start playing sport because my lifestyle is too sedentary. Frugal. Thrifty. Sense frugal shoppers occasionally badger supermarket managers for bargains. Sense frugal adjective careful when using money or food, or of a meal cheap or small in amount. A frugal lifestyle. A frugal meal of bread and soup. Frugally adverb. We had very little money left, so we ate frugally in cheap cafes and bars. Frugality noun. You antithesis. Exact opposite. Sense Len, the gregarious sociable twin, was the antithesis of Lon, the reticent one. Sense antithesis noun. See plural. Antithesis. The exact opposite. She is slim and shy, the very antithesis of her sister. He is the exact antithesis of what I find attractive in men. Thanks to the collapse of communism, the political antithesis between left and right is less important. Antithetical adjective. Also antithetic. Formal. Antithetical views the world, the flesh, and the devil temptations that cause man to sin. Sense by entering the monastery he sought to avoid the world, the flesh, and the devil. Queens, workers, drones. Each colony of honeybees consists of 3 classes: of the queen, who is a prolific layer of eggs; b. the worker, who is the bulwark of the colony; and c. the sedentary drone, whose only function is to mate with a young queen. The queen lays the eggs that hatch into thousands of female workers, Some queens live as long as 5 years, and lay up to 1 million eggs. The frugal worker builds and maintains the nest, collects and stores the honey, and is the antithesis of the lazy drone, or male honeybee, who does not work and has no sting. When the drone is no longer needed, the workers, in effect, liquidate him by letting him starve to death. It's a cruel, cruel world. Week 16, Day 3. Altruistic and selfish. Since the good-hearted doctor went into the jungle purely for altruistic reasons, since altruism now knew willingness to do things which benefit other people, even if it results in disadvantage for yourself, she's not known for her altruism. Altruist, noun. See altruistic, adjective. I doubt whether her motives for donating the money are altruistic. She's probably looking for publicity. Altruistically, adverb. Embellish, adorn, touch up. Since every time the irate motorist told about the accident, they had a tendency to embellish the story. Since embellish, verb t, to make something more beautiful or interesting by adding something to it. The ceiling was embellished with flowers and leaves. He couldn't resist embellishing the story of his accident a little. Embellishment, noun. See or you cache, secret hiding place. Since through a fortuitous occasionally remark, the cache of the art thieves was discovered. Null, sense cache, noun. See a hidden store of things, or the place where they are kept. An arms cache, a cache of explosives, weapons, drugs. Sense cache, memory, noun. See or you, an area or type of computer memory, in which information that is often in use can be stored temporarily and accessed especially quickly. 256 KB. Secondary cache, coterie, small group having something in common. Sense a cache of bridge players made our club room their permanent habitat. Sense coterie, group, noun. See a small group of people with shared interests, who often do not want other people to join them. A coterie of writers. Cupidity agreed, since we warned him that his reprehensible cupidity would eventuate in a loss of all his friends. Sense cupidity, noun. You formal, a great desire, especially for money or possessions, to make bricks without straw, to attempt to do something without having the necessary materials. In the Bible we read that the Egyptians commanded the Israelites to do so. Sense my uncle's business schemes always fail, because he tries to make bricks without straw. Spotlight on the worker. Let us examine the activities of the altruistic workers in greater detail. After the workers have constructed a hive of waterproof honeycomb made from beeswax, the queen begins to lay eggs in the first cells. While some workers embellish the hive, others fly out in search of nectar and pollen. With their long tongues they gather nectar and use their hind legs to carry the pollen from the flowers. They fly directly back to the hive and then dance around the honeycomb, their movements indicating the direction of the flowers. Meanwhile, other workers have been cleaning cells, caring for the young, and guarding the precious cache of nectar. Another special coterie is entrusted with heating or cooling the hive. Dedicated to the welfare of the queen and the entire insect community, all of these workers display a complete absence of cupidity. Week 16, Day 4. Virtuosity, great technical skills. Since the eminent artist, famous for his virtuosity, was admired by classicists and beatniks alike. Sense n, great technical skills. Sense virtuoso, noun. People, virtuoso, plural. Virtuoso is a person who is extremely skilled at something, especially at playing an instrument or performing, famous mainly for his wonderful voice. Cole was also a virtuoso on the piano. Virtuosoage, not gradable. Virtuoso, the world's greatest tenor, treated us to a virtuoso display of his abundant talent. Temerity, foolish boldness. Sense, for having the temerity to declaim, speak loud against the majority leader, the freshman senator was given the worst committee assignments. Sense temerity, noun. You formal, disapproving, a willingness to do or say something that shocks or upsets other people, plus to infinitive. She had the temerity to call me a liar. Amorous, full of love. Sense a landmark in the history of amorous drama is Romeo and Juliet. Sense amorous, sense adjective of or expressing sexual desire. The film centers around the amorous adventures, exploits of its handsome hero. Amanda had rejected his amorous advances. Progeny, descendants. Sense the Bantu chief and all his progeny were noted for their valor, courage. Sense progeny, plural, noun. Formal, the young or offspring of a person, animal or plant. His numerous progeny are scattered all over the country. Saturate, soak, fill up completely. Sense television in the new century was saturated with the rebirth of the old quiz shows. Null sense saturate make wet verb T often passive to make something or someone completely wet. The grass had been saturated by overnight rain. He had cut his leg badly, and his trousers were saturated within blood. Saturated sense adjective completely wet. It's pouring down outside. I'm absolutely saturated sense saturate fill verb T1, to fill a thing or place completely so that no more can be added. The police saturated. A large number of police officers were sent into the area in an attempt to find the missing child. To saturate the market, to provide too much of a product, so that there is more of this product available than there are people who want to buy it. Since the US market has now been saturated, drug dealers are looking to Europe. Saturation noun. You market saturation sense saturate fat noun C usually plural. You saturated fat. Compare polyunsaturated sense saturated fat noun C. Or you also saturate a type of fat found in meat, eggs, milk, cheese, etc., which is thought to be bad for your health. Butter and cream contain a lot of saturated fats. See also polyunsaturated. To have the upper hand. To gain control sense I had him at my mercy, but now he has the upper hand. The saga of the queen bee. Although the virtuosity of the workers is remarkable, the queen bee is really the main story. Workers choose a few larvae to be queens, feeding them royal jelly, a substance rich in proteins and vitamins. While the queen is changing from a larva to a pupa, a team of workers builds a special cell for her. Soon the young queen hatches, eats the prepared honey, and grows strong. After she kills any rivals who have the temerity to challenge her, an amorous note is injected. She flies from the hive and mates with one or more drones on her first flight. Then the process of egg-laying begins. When her progeny saturate the hive, scouts are dispatched to find a new location, and the bees swarm after their leader, to begin the amazing cycle again. Week 16 Day 5. Cheating a cheater. Our neighborhood was so tough, the comedian joked, that two guys held up a bank and were mugged as they ran to their getaway car. Later that evening, as Roy and Timmy were discussing the comic's routine, Roy was reminded of a true he said story that went like this: Mr. D, the gang kingpin in our community, loved money. Like Silas Marner, the frugal weaver of George Eliot's novel, he enjoyed counting his treasure each Friday night. Mr. D's cash was concealed in a wall safe behind a painting in his office. The $50 and $100 bills made his hands dirty as he counted them, but Mr. D didn't mind. The filth of the lucre did not disturb him at all. One Friday evening, Roy continued, a brash interloper had the temerity to try to steal the ill-gotten gains. Having bought the combination from a relative who had installed Mr. D's safe, he stuffed his loot into a laundry bag and was halfway out the door when he spied a $10 bill on the floor. His cupidity made him go back for that small change, and in that moment, Mr. D arrived on the scene. The quick-thinking thief blurted out, "I'll have the shirts back on Friday." Hoisting the laundry bag over his shoulder, he was out the door, before the confused mobster could figure out what had happened. No, Timmy, who had listened patiently, said, "I don't believe a word of that story, because it would take a guy with a great deal of starch to pull it off."